Nowadays, our people are so mentally enslaved that we literally have millions of us walking around daily with computers in our pockets, therefore with access to unlimited verifiable information literally at our fingertips, yet insisting on holding on to all the mental enslaving lies that the white society has indoctrinated into our minds. They've got our people so brainwashed that telling the truth now literally offends millions. Many black people are afraid to think for themselves. They're scared to look at facts so that they never have to admit to themselves that they might be wrong. Many insist on believing everything that we've been taught to believe by the white society, even though everything that we've been taught to believe came from history's proven most notoriously deceitful liars. By doing this, we are literally functioning as wardens of our own mental prisons. We must start critically thinking and looking at facts in order to emancipate our minds from white mental slavery. Let's do so. Let's look at the facts that they truly were. The facts is that the early white Christians' conversion of Africans into their religion had absolutely nothing to do with saving the souls of Africans so that Africans may join them in heaven during the afterlife. This is an irrefutable fact because the early white Christians literally believed that Africans had no souls and that heaven was for whites only. In fact, the early white Christians believed that the thought of an African actually entering the kingdom of heaven was as literally as ridiculous as a dog doing so. This is an absolute fact. When we logically look at facts as they truly indeed were, we can say with great certainty that the white enslavers and colonizers' conversion of Africans into their Christian religion had absolutely nothing to do with saving the souls of Africans. They did not convert us into Christians to empower us. If the Bible truly contained the empowering words of God, it would have been kept as far away as possible from our enslaved and colonized ancestors, instead of having been brutally forced upon them as it in fact was. There was another self-serving reason why those early white Christians put their time and energy into converting black people into Christians, a people they otherwise treated so brutally. The true self-serving reason was to indoctrinate the belief of a white God into their subconscious mind. This creates a profound adoration and admiration towards whiteness within the minds of the Africans. This then subconsciously is transferred and transposed upon white people. This made the Africans more subservient towards whites and more compliant with white dominance over their lives. Christianity, in fact, made them into better slaves. It also aided in the colonization of Africans that remained on the continent. Many black people today insist that they've proved for themselves that Christianity is truly of God because they felt the spirit of the Holy Ghost while in church. You know, the experience that these black Christians are referring to are the shaking uncontrollably in a trance state and speaking in tongue when feeling a spiritual connection to the Most High. However, these experiences actually predates Christianity. They have nothing to do whatsoever with the Christian religion. It's actually the Kundalini spiritual awakening. It's an expression of African spirituality. Kundalini awakening is said to be the result of deep meditation and consequently enlightenment and bliss. However, as each individual is unique, the Kundalini awakening can happen through a varies of methods, not limited to deep meditation. Sometimes it can happen while listening to drums beat. This awakening involves the Kundalini physical moving up the central channel to reach within the crown chakra, the top of the head. These symptoms may include involuntary jerks, tremor, shaking, itching, tingling, and a crawling sensation, especially in the arms and legs. And of course, speaking in different tongues. These same behaviors are manifested among Africans celebrating the ancient spiritual system. It has nothing to do with Christianity. By manipulating Africans to believe that these African experiences are connected to Christianity, it makes Africans insist that Christianity is real, but it's not. Today, many black people are so brainwashed and are so detached from the true spiritual system that they think that it's the fictional Jesus that they're experiencing, the religion that was brutally imposed upon us, but it's actually not. Many black Christians defend their beliefs by insisting that Christianity was originally practiced in Ethiopia. That's a popular one. However, this is absolutely untrue. The fact is that Christianity did not become the official religion of Ethiopia until the reign of King Ezana in the year 341 AD. That's 16 years after the Romans created the false Christian religion. The Bible was actually written and the Christian religion created by Constantine, the Roman emperor, and the councils of bishops in the year 325 AD. The Romans were an immoral society that routinely engaged in massive orgies, pedophilia, wife swapping, incest, bestiality, and death sports. They continued these practices even long after writing the Bible. The Roman Emperor Constantine, who was in charge of writing the Bible, he oversaw the writing of the Bible, himself refused to convert into a Christian, even while upon his deathbed. You certainly would not eat a meal prepared by a chef who stubbornly refused to eat his own cooking. So why then accept a religion created by an emperor that stubbornly refused to be converted into a Christian, even while upon his deathbed? Even on his deathbed in the year 337 AD, after he died, Bishop Eusebius then baptized him and declared him a Christian. This is just one of many facts that disqualifies the Bible from truly being of God. The Bible was also brutally beaten into the blood-soaked minds of our ancestors by their ungodly enslavers that also raped, maimed, tortured, and murdered them. All of these noted facts combines with the fact that the Bible strongly condones slavery, totally disqualifies it from being truly of God, because an infallible God would not allow his words to be brought to a people in such an ungodly manner. The Romans' creating of the Jesus Messiah myth was actually an ingenious scam. Its ideology that to enter the kingdom of heaven, you had to go through Jesus, gave the church immense power. Because it literally meant, since Jesus is the only way into heaven, it meant that the church literally holds the one and only key into heaven. That's ultimate power on earth, to say you have the one key to get into heaven. That's ultimate power on earth. Many black people insist that Jesus is real and that he is black. But if they're correct that he's real, he's black, this would then make Jesus the worst black traitor in world history, given that Jesus didn't intervene when African people were enslaved and stolen from Africa. Jesus didn't intervene when babies were being cut from the wombs of enslaved pregnant African mothers as they screamed out in agony. Jesus didn't intervene when African women were brutally raped and sodomized by the evil white male enslavers. Jesus didn't intervene when enslaved African men were castrated like animals and lynched as they screamed out for Jesus with their last dying breaths. Jesus didn't intervene when the white men and white women were practicing immoral pedophilia acts on enslaved, crying African children. These profound contradictions from Jesus being a real and black exist because Jesus never existed. That myth has been used as a tool for centuries for keeping us complacently waiting for nothing. Praying to God through a subordinate middleman Messiah was not within the original African spiritual doctrine. Ask yourself, why does an all-knowing God need a middleman to speak to him in your behalf? Doesn't he know you better than anyone else does? Those black people who don't critically think will always believe nonsense. The Christian religion is regarded by the ignorant as being true, by the wise as being false, and by rulers as being useful for controlling the masses. Our true African spiritual system taught every individual to seek their own direct inner connection to the Most High, not through religion. A personal oneness that is established between the inner mind and that which we know as God. It's an experience that no two people might necessarily describe in the same manner. Some may say that it comes from above. Some may say that it comes from within. Some may also say that it comes through the mind, while others says that it comes through the heart. It doesn't matter how they describe it. They are all correct. It is their own individual experiences with the Most High. This is our true system. The reason why there's rarely any resolve whenever a black conscious person tries to teach these noted facts to a black Christian is because the conscious person presents documented facts, critical thinking, reasoning, and common sense. But the black Christian have been conditioned to stand by blind faith, even when the abundance of evidence are to the contrary. This sounds admirable, but it's how the church mentally enslaves their followers. Christianity gets its followers to abandon their critical thinking abilities in exchange for blind faith, in order for their minds to accept the most outlandish and ridiculous myths. This tactic has allowed the church to exploit millions of their devoted followers for many centuries. Quickly think. The human brain is the world's greatest computer because it's self-aware, self-formulating, self-learning, and it can even reprogram itself. Its capabilities are a direct contradiction of the limits that religions imposes upon it. Why would God implant such a great abilities into our heads and then give us a religion that discourages intelligent, critical thinking? The fact that religions are not compatible with the God-given capabilities of the brain inherently prove that religions are not of God. All religions are instead man-made tools used for controlling the masses. They've got our people's minds so mentally enslaved that telling the truth and stating the facts literally offends millions. Those of us who tell you the truth are trying to free your mind. Don't believe as you do just because it's passed down to you. Remember the circumstances of how our ancestors became the religion? It was beaten into them. They had no choice. So now we strongly defend a religion that our ancestors fought to resist. Therefore, our minds have fundamentally turned against our own ancestors. I know it's hard when your uncle, your mama, your sisters, everybody's minds are colonized. And makes you question yourself. Our problem is that the mentally enslaved ones have been made overconfident and the conscious ones have been made self-doubting. I speak to encourage and empower the conscious one. You are right. You might feel outnumbered, but you are right. Continue to speak the truth. We must speak against ignorance. One love and peace.